Welcome to another epic adventure where we explore photography and the natural world. This time, we're hopping aboard a boat and we're driving 70 miles out into the middle of the ocean. Where are we going? The Dry Tortugas. We're lucky enough to be here during spring migration, and what does that mean? Birds. Lots of them, little ones and big ones. We're also gonna see some incredible seascapes or landscapes or seascapes. What would you call it? Just some really cool pictures. We're gonna be surrounded by tranquil blue waters, so you can bet we're going in. And if we're lucky, we'll get to see the elusive American crocodile. Who am I kidding? We're gonna find a croc. So grab your sunblock, your ukulele, and let's go check out the Dry Tortugas. The boat ride would take approximately 2.5 hours. That's a long time at sea. The first half hour or so was nice and smooth as we left the shallow waters of Key West. It didn't take too long for the seas to grow in strength. The constant up and down and side to side movement of the boat started to have an effect on me. Nah, I'm just kidding with you here. The trip out was fantastic. All right, so we were just warned that there is a 9-foot crocodile that inhabits this island where we're going right now. It was washed in by a hurricane. So basically, this boat is just delivering a whole bunch of people to a crocodile who's trapped on an island. It's not supposed to be here. As we got closer to the islands, the birds started to appear. This first bird is a brown noddy. This was my first time seeing one of these awesome birds. It looks like it has spent the better part of its day in a chimney and it's covered in soot. Which brings me to this next shot. This is a sooty tern, even though it doesn't appear to have any type of soot on it like this other bird did. Another first-time bird for me. Both of these birds have large nesting colonies on the Dry Tortugas, so they are fairly common in this area. As we got even closer, the ship captain got us a close look at the only colony of masked boobies in the entire United States. We were still a good distance from these birds, but I'll never pass up an opportunity to take the shot. I like how these birds provide a nice contrast with all that blue water. It's really easy to see them. We survived the trip to the small island chain, and what an incredibly beautiful place. Time to explore and see what we can find. And where is that crocodile? The first thing I noticed were these incredible frigate birds. Time to get some photos. This is the magnificent frigate bird. These birds are huge. They have a wingspan of 217 to 244 centimeters, or 85 to 96 inches, and they just seem to magically float in the air. The differences you'll see in these images are male and female in different stages in life. The males are solid black with a large red throat pouch that they fill up with air. It kind of looks like a big red balloon. Big red balloon, and they float. That reminds me of a movie I saw recently, but never mind. The magnificent frigate bird also has a large nesting colony on this small island chain, and I got this last shot of one grabbing a tree limb from the water. I would imagine this tree branch makes great material for a nest. The Dry Tortugas isn't just a tropical oasis in the middle of the ocean. It is also home to this impressive masonry fort. This is Fort Jefferson, and it is huge. We spent some time exploring this walk that went all the way around the fort. And here's something interesting to note. There's no fresh water here, hence the word dry in the name, and Tortuga is Spanish for turtle. I used this opportunity to grab some incredible landscape shots with both my D810 and the D500. The walk around the fort was just beautiful. And then we went inside. I grabbed this shot looking out one of the windows. It's pretty interesting. And as we made our way around the fort, we decided to go up to the second level to get a better view. And boy, what a view that was. Here you can see a few of the seaplanes that bring people here. You can only get here by boat or plane. Then I grabbed this shot, and I just love it. There's so much going on in this picture. You have that huge storm cloud out in the distance, the leading lines of the fort and the moat below. And if you look closely, you'll see a group of 3 magnificent frigate birds just floating in the distance. I didn't want any of that salt air getting inside the D500, so I grabbed a few landscape shots using the 200 to 500, and they came out great. I really like the colors in this image and the crazy amount of birds, but this image was the most impressive. Yeah, it's just a lighthouse, but here's what's so fascinating about this image. This lighthouse was 3 miles away. I can't believe the amount of detail this lens captured from that far away. It's just incredible. One more awesome shot with the D810 And yes, the water really did look like that. Talk about inviting. I don't care if there's a 9-foot crocodile on this island or not, I'm going in that emerald green water. I seem to remember the ship captain saying they had plenty of snorkeling gear on the ship. So we're gonna go snorkeling. I'm gonna take this little camera along with me. The amount of life that can be found swimming around the fort is absolutely staggering. There were bright colored fish everywhere you looked, amazing soft corals that swayed in the currents, sea urchins that looked like pincushions, and hard corals that looked like they came from another planet. It was actually quite difficult to swim underwater here because the salt content was so high, it made your body very, very buoyant. And I kept expecting to see that big crocodile every single time I took a breath and went underwater. There were a lot of holes in the side of the wall that went into the moat that was bordering this fort, and every time I got to one of those holes, I would take a breath and go down and look through the hole, and I would expect to see that croc looking back. Check out this barracuda. This is one intimidating fish because the larger ones are very curious and they will often come right up to you with a mouthful of teeth. And look at the amount of life that was living in this tiny little pipe. This was one of the coolest snorkeling experiences ever. After that nice refreshing dip in the ocean, it was time to make our way to the center of the fort, which is where all the smaller songbirds were located. On the way, I grabbed this shot of 2 brown noddies on some old rusty pilings, and then this ruddy turnstone caught my eye. It kind of reminds me of a calico cat. It's amazing how well this bird blends in with the environment. All right, this is the spot where you see most of the little songbirds on the Dry Tortugas. There's a man-made water fountain, and they've been everywhere, in and out of this thing, but right now there's a cattle egret in it drinking. Look at him. So none of the little songbirds are coming too close because he's taking it off. Sitting under the shade of the trees, I spied this kestrel soaring through the skies. It landed nearby and I grabbed this nice close-up. As soon as the kestrel left the area, the little bird started to creep out of the underbrush. The first little bird to show up was this tiny little yellow one. I believe this is a prairie warbler. The first shot was taken at 1/800th of a second, and I didn't think this was fast enough to freeze the movement of this tiny yet very fast bird, so I changed it to 1/2000th of a second. And then another one showed up. I'm not sure if this is the same species or not. The lighter color on the back and tail of this bird make it look like a pine warbler, but they're not supposed to be this far south, so I'm still not 100% positive on this one. The longer I sat still, the more these little birds appeared. They just seemed to come right out of the woodwork. This little black and white warbler blends right in. And then I managed quite a few awesome shots of this palm warbler. The first was on the man-made water fountain, the only source of fresh water on the island. And I recently read that this small water fountain is no longer there. It's actually been taken down. And here is the mystery bird. I have no idea what type of bird this is. You can clearly see it has a much lighter color than the other birds, and it was a little larger than all the warblers I was seeing. I only managed this one shot from a good distance, and then this bird just vanished. Maybe it's a ghost. I don't know. If you know what type of bird this is, please feel free to tell me in the comment section below. And slowly but surely, the bird started to grow in size. This next bird is an oven bird, and this bird was extremely busy looking for something tasty to eat in all that leaf litter. I watched it for a good 5 minutes just flipping over leaves and looking for bugs. I would say this bird went out on a limb to get its picture taken. Yep, I just did a really bad pun there. This was another first time for me. This is a loggerhead kingbird. It reminds me of a mockingbird with those gray and white colors. It also looks a lot like a loggerhead shrike minus the mask they have. And then this palm warbler decided to land really close by, so I couldn't resist yet another awesome shot of this bird. And then I spied this beautiful little dove hiding among the grass. Just take a look at that gorgeous eye. It almost looks like this bird is wearing makeup. This is a white-winged dove, and it is somewhat common year-round in the tropics. This was my first time seeing this beautiful bird, so I grabbed a few shots. Because I had been quietly sitting in the same spot for such a long time, the birds just seemed to forget that I was there, and this dove is the perfect example.
It moved in very close and almost seemed to pose for me on several occasions, and I was able to get some excellent close-up shots where you can see all of that great detail on this bird.
So whatever came of that mysterious crocodile, we found it, and I managed to get one shot before it swam off right where we were snorkeling. Thanks for coming along with me. I had a great time. As always, click that thumbs up button. Feel free to share the video. Subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Go ahead. Let me know what you thought of the whole experience. Leave comments in the comment section below. And for all you photo people out there, always bring your camera and always take the shot.